Good Monday morning to all of our High at Nine News viewers. Yarrow Kubrin here. Super happy to be here this morning, kicking off our Thanksgiving week. And of course, my article includes a zoning aspect because I can't be anything but me. I'm going to try to read it pretty quick because it's a long article, and I hope you'll enjoy and follow along with me. So, ducks and cannabis converge in Essex Junction lawsuit pitting state against city. Struthers says the city is out of its jurisdiction by trying to regulate his ducks. State law says municipalities cannot regulate agricultural practices. Local officials claim they aren't regulating Struthers farming, just where he can have his ducks. Essex Junction. Bright bracelets hang on the wire doors to Jason Struthers' duck coop. They're relics of a time before neighborly relationships on the small cul-de-sac close to Essex High School turned sour. Since last summer, Struthers has had his license to grow cannabis in his backyard on Taft Street, where he also farms vegetables and raises some 30 ducks. The ducks provide eggs, which he sells along with the cannabis and veggies, and manure to fertilize the strain. He sells the cannabis to about a dozen dispensaries. Her bracelets on the coop that came from two girls next door who used to play with the birds, he says. But the situation around Struthers, his weed, and his ducks has evolved into yelling matches, lawsuits, letters to legislators, and a neighborhood on edge. Local officials and neighbors tried in August to shut down the cannabis operation before admitting they had little remedy to fight Struthers' Tier 1 state license. Local officials later renewed the license. And then on September 21st, the city's Development Review Board voted to prohibit Struthers from having ducks in a residential area. The case over his half-acre plot could pit state against local jurisdiction and call into question the implications of recent statewide housing initiatives. Late last month, Struthers filed a lawsuit contesting the review board's decision, claiming only the state can regulate agriculture. He claims in his suit he's designated as a farm by the state, and therefore the city can't regulate his ducks. Struthers sees his farming as a right and a way of life. He suffered a skydiving injury in 2011, he said, that left him disabled, and farming is the only work he can see himself doing. That was just an instrumental part of my recovery, he said. The land he farms is where he grew up, where both his parents died, he said. His neighbors and local officials see it differently. It's more him putting up his middle finger to everybody, said Jason Hemingway, whose backyard borders Struthers, characterizing the cannabis growing. The review board's September decision came after Stefan and Sharon Padnos, neighbors of Struthers, appealed a previous decision allowing his ducks. In a September 21st review board meeting, officials ruled that Struthers is not allowed to have ducks on his property because he lives in an R1 residential area. Board members have also said the right to enforce zoning laws about livestock while acknowledging the regulation of cannabis was a separate matter. Struthers says the city is out of its jurisdiction by trying to regulate his ducks. State law says municipalities cannot regulate agricultural practices. And local officials claim they aren't regulating Stafford's farming, just where he can have his ducks. Struthers' case could set up a legal precedent for other ambiguities between the state and local regulations. And for Struthers, regulation of his ducks seems like a de facto regulation of his weed growing. The manure for his ducks as fertilizer is crucial to his strain, he said. Duck manure doesn't need to be fermented or composted, explains Struthers. It's really beneficial and it saves a lot of labor. Sparing labor makes a big sparing labor makes a big difference for him. When Struthers sustained his spinal cord injury, he was laid up for a couple years and unable to do anything. Before the injury, he was skydiving instructor for 20 years, he said, with 5,500 dives and 130 base jumps. Since then, farming has been a way for Struthers to cope. It's like the discipline of it. When you've got a good shattered spine, when you've got a shattered spine, it's easy to say, oh, I don't feel good. I don't want to do my PT right now. But when you're going to die because you don't do your chores, you have to do it. Growing cannabis was a dream of his, he said. When he was growing up, he had a blood vessel wrapped around his intestines that made it hard for him to eat, he said, something only smoking weed relieved. It was the first time I actually felt hunger in probably 4 years, he said. It was just an amazing event for me. Clashes with neighbors have been ongoing. Struthers claims he's been reported for an unregistered vehicle, been the subject of unreasonable noise complaints, and had neighbors send the fire department to his house. Struthers hasn't been a saint, neighbors claim. In city council and review board meetings, neighbors have mainly complained about the noise of Struthers' ducks, the smell of his cannabis and manure, and his proximity to Essex High School. In response, City Council President so-and-so wrote to state representatives on behalf of the City Council on the council last month, urging them to amend the state cannabis laws and allow municipalities to zone cannabis growing. The council echoed concerns of Struther's neighbors, claiming in the letter that he operates within 500-foot buffer of a school property, a reference to regulations that apply only to cannabis retailers, not growers. The letter also singled out Governor Phil Scott's June signing of S100, also known as the Home Act, a bill aimed at creating more affordable housing by rolling back certain local development restrictions. The Home Act, among other things, effectively legalizes the development of duplexes anywhere residential development is allowed. It paves the way for increased density where properties are served by municipal water and sewer infrastructure. The act has already drawn criticism that it is a state effort to supersede local zoning. Problems like those around Struther's property could intensify if developers take advantage of the Home Act. So, yeah, let's cut it short. What do you guys have to say about ducks and zoning?
I mean, this
support home duck ownership.
This is great. This is such a classic Vermont news story right here. This is
You can't make it up.
No, exactly.
Okay.
I mean,
First, real quick, where is this guy's farm located? What state?
This is in Vermont. This is in Vermont, Essex Junction.
Vermont. Okay,
yes.
I don't have to worry about. Okay, all right. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Like, and also petty. Like, this just seems so petty. How many ducks?
30 offending manure-making ducks.
30 ducks.
Not even that many ducks.
And he uses duck castings in his soil. Am I correct on that, Yarrow?
Duck guano.
Yes, ducks are important to his strain.
They're very important.
Mm-hmm.
Duck terps.
Mm-hmm.
For shitty duck.
I don't think he's taking responsibility. It's just
a little ducky.
the locals.
What's that?
Does he have a Smalls brand called Quackers?
He's competing against cookies.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
yes.
This
yes.
is ducking.
Quackers, because you'll get less crumbs in your bed.
Oh God.
It is, and to be fair, it is a known therapeutic benefit that skydiving injury recovery is helped by at least a 25 duck count at home. And so,
well, hold on. Well. In all fairness, Vermont Alternative says that Essex is one of the most populous towns in Vermont, and that 30 ducks is a bit ridiculous to have in a cul-de-sac in Essex Junction, though. In all fairness, he's saying.
Oh, okay. So we're talking residential.
We're talking more suburbanized area of Essex Junction. Sounds like there's lots of neighbors.
There's a duck setback. Okay. It is true that feathered animals can be a vector for vermin.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's a cul-de-sac and each parcel's 50 acres on the cul-de-sac?
It's not. He's saying it's very,
it's
very
R1.
residential.
R1 is dense residential.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
I don't think that this guy's right in doing what he's doing. In a residential area, that there's a general assumption of not doing that sort of thing, and it really does end up causing issues with rodents and all kinds of other matters.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
not to mention, like, if your ducks are flying back, like leaving and coming back at all, like shitting in other.
He said he's got his ducks in a row.
They're in a row.
I was waiting for that.
Well, then, oh God, I can't. Wah, wah, wah.
Yep.
Where's that sound effect?
There it is.
And Guap is back at it again. Even the honey badger knows that the land use ordinances in Essex specify less than 12 ducks. Even the honey badger knows that, according to Guapotron. But that was a fantastic story, Yarrow. Thank you so much for sharing that.